kind of basic description of what Gabriel looks like, as well as your basic story, kind of what happened.
Would you like me to provide what's listed on his missing poster at National Center for Missing and Exploited for the description, and then you go ahead and give and add to that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Date of birth, May 3rd, 2009. Missing, listed as missing December 27th, 2009. His height is 2 feet tall even, so 24 inches. Blue eyes. He's white. 9 months old now. Weighs approximately 20 pounds. Light brown hair, missing from Tempe.
Okay. His eyes are a little bit droopy to the outer edges of his eyes. They kind of droop down a little bit. His chin kind of sinks, not really the chin part, but you know where you would have teeth, like say you had teeth and you pulled your teeth out, how your lip would go inward. It's his bottom lip and it kind of goes inward, you know? And so it kind of makes his chin come out a little bit at the bottom, but inward towards the mouth at the lip, you know? And he sucks on his bottom lip a lot. If he doesn't have his bottom lip to suck on, then, you know, if he's got a pacifier, then he'll suck on his bottom lip. Or if you put your fingers in his mouth, he'll bite your fingers because he was teething when we saw him last. Oh my gosh, this is really hard.
He was a pretty boy.
Yeah, he was.
He is a pretty boy.
Mm-hmm. He was a pretty. He is still a pretty boy.
He's a gorgeous child.
No matter what, you know. So he had pads for feet and hands. His hands were big old pads with long fingers. So like if you could imagine, like he would have been like what's it called, a quarterback. He would have been a quarterback. I mean, he could catch a football when he grows up. I know he could because he had this big old pad for a hand with these long fingers, you know. And
I interrupt you real quick here. Deb, do you have a picture?
Do I have a picture? Yeah, I'll give you his missing poster in Skype here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead.
Oh, another important thing, too, is the top of his chest from the belly button up until his shoulders came upward and outward. And I don't know if it's because of constipation or not. I know that in the 9 days that we had him, finally around day 5, he hadn't had a bowel movement. And it was about 4 or 5 days, and I went to the pharmacy and got him like one of those baby, it's like a little laxative enema thing. And I got about 5 or 6 rocks that like literally rocks coming out of him. And he hadn't gone to the bathroom. And it was very, very rare that he would go to the bathroom even after that. So I constantly massaged him. But after that day, that fullness up in his chest and the upper abdominal area sort of went down a little bit and was more soft. But I have a feeling in his lifetime, he's been pretty impacted. And I know that sounds weird because I'm a colon therapist, but you know, I'm serious. He seemed to be very, very impacted for a 7-month-old baby. When we had him, he was 7 months, and that's not, you know, he shouldn't have been that way. So he must have suffered some kind of emotional trauma or something, in my opinion, to be so impacted like that, you know?
Right.
Would you like to hear basically the story now?
Right. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dan.
Okay. I was in an airport, and I'm going to give you the real short version, okay, because it would take me 2.5 hours to tell you the story or more. I was in an airport in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I met her there on a layover. She was crying and distraught. Long story short, you know, finding out that she wanted to put the baby up for adoption. Her grandmother wanted her to adopt the baby out, and Logan wouldn't sign papers. So they couldn't do it. So she was on her way back to Tennessee. I gave her my information.
Approximately 2 months ago.
Back to Phoenix. Back to Phoenix, Arizona, not Tennessee.
When you first met her that first time.
I'm sorry. Did I say Tennessee? I'm sorry. I said Tennessee. This was when I first met her. This was, I believe, in July. right, Jack? Was it July?
Yes, I believe it was July, yes.
I was coming back from the IACT convention. So we met in Indianapolis on our way. Both of us were on our way back to Arizona. And I found out she wanted to adopt the baby out. The grandmother had tried, she had tried, and it wasn't going to happen because Logan wouldn't sign papers. So I gave her all of my information, my website, my email address, phone numbers, everything. Went home and cried because she never did call me back. And then finally on December the 8th, she finally called me and said, "Are you ready to adopt him?" And I was like, "What?" And I already had a baby that was getting ready to be born that Tuesday that we were going to adopt, that I had already formed a bond with, Right. And so anyway, we went to her house the next day on the 9th, December 9th, and we stayed there probably 3 to 4 hours sitting there talking with her. You could tell she had been crying a lot, just eyes puffy and red, and she had tears and she'd wipe them away. And, we talked a lot. And she said that this is definitely something that she's been wanting to do since she's been pregnant. The father's name is Logan, and he refused to do it most of the time, but every now and then he would say okay, and they just weren't ever on the same page. I guess at this point she was tired of a good life, and she was afraid for the baby to be with the father because there was a lot of things that she wouldn't tell us, that she didn't want to talk about. And all we know is that from the information that she showed us and gave us, showing her parenting classes and, the shots up to date for the baby and everything that she's done for the baby. And then, of course, she showed us, where to go to look for his record to find out all the horrible things he's done. So,
we had at that particular point, we had some fairly, as you can imagine, some very serious fears and some wonderment about how could have, it's hard enough to understand one at birth giving up a child, but after 7 months there must be some kind of a bond there. So I had some definite hard questions for her. We got over there and we played with the baby, and I began to ask her questions as to why. Why are you? What is this going to? What will this do for you? If you're just going to stay status quo, I'm not interested in taking and being the person you hand your child off, so you can just go out and party all the time. But she let us know at that particular point that it was her goal to go back to school. She was she had a full scholarship that she needed to get back to in order to complete that, and so we had some papers that had been drawn up, which was basically a temporary guardianship as it related to the new baby that was going to be born in a few days, just so that we would be able to take him from the hospital. And so Tammy said, "You know what? I want to take these papers." Well, so what she did, she went into her computer, and basically it was a Word document. She was able to change the names to Gabriel and put down Elizabeth's Elizabeth's name. So at that point, when we were there, I had about 4 or 5 questions that I asked her, and then I just stepped back for a minute because I was